Hey everybody, I'm Robert Tomlinson, the commissioner of the USA EPL Power League, welcoming you to our Week 2 Roundtable here in the USA eBaseball Power League. I am here once again with our Roundtable panel, which includes former EPL champion, actually defending EPL champion, that is Compass, and SlimeFall, a ePremier 12 player from last year. Once again, hello everybody. How's it going?
Hello, how are you, Dish? How are you, everybody watching?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, man. I mean, we had a lot of stuff go down in game one, man, in week one. Slime, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Dish. Doing good.
All right. Well, let's not waste any time and let's start talking about what went down in week one. We had some absolute banger matchups. I tell you guys, we have a lot to talk about, and we're going to start here today with the first series of the regular season, Subarctic Narwhals, owned by Greg the Egg, taking on the Phantoms, owned by Dat Shadow. Now, Narwhals took 2 of 3 from the Phantoms here. Phantoms winning game 1, 2-0 in 10 innings. Narwhals winning 5-3 in game 2, and then 3-0 in game 3. Some takeaways from you guys on this one. Very good start for Greg the Egg here.
Of course, Greg, he started off the season strong as we expected, but I think a big takeaway here is Dat Shadow is very good for a new player. I mean, he took that first game off Mileman in extras. That proved a lot against a contender like Greg. I mean, we all know what Greg brings to the table, and he proved it in game 2 and game 3. But that game one, it definitely proved a lot for Dat Shadow.
Yeah, what do you think, Slime?
Man, a few words. Dat Shadow has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I did see a lot of potential out of Dat Shadow in that series as well. I mean, he took Greg, who is a very, very good contact hitter in no lock-on play in a lot of community tournaments in the Western Power Pros community, and he took him to extra innings, no runs against. Now, obviously, you could probably say, there's some early season, rust being kind of taken off a little bit with both teams, really. But the Phantoms really made an impression here to get started. One of the better performances from one of the newcomers.
Yeah, and I thought it proved a lot about the top of his pitching staff, because we did see a Mileman versus Otani in that game, and Otani did come out on top. Otani looked amazing in game 1.
Yeah, I mean, Otani, he was carving up the Narwhals offense right there, and that's what you want out of the number 2 overall pick in the draft. Yeah. Any other thoughts from you on this series, Slime? What did you think of the series?
Very good series, like you guys both said. Both pitchers did great. Otani pitching and hitting, scary combo to go against anytime.
Definitely. All right, so Narwhals 2 of 3. They are at 2-1 on the standings right now. All right, now let's move on a little bit from the Subarctic Narwhals and Phantoms series over to the Kang Kings versus Humongous Melonhead series. Kang Kings, owned by former Olympic eSports series 4th place player Kang Gang, and the Humongous Melonheads, owned by Matt. This was a very close series on paper, but the Kang Kings come ahead with the sweep.
Yeah, I felt like Kang Gang, he really showed that he's not here to play. He's already coming out strong on no lock-on play. We had some questions because he's been known as a lock-on 3 player and making the switch over, but this first series, it really proved that I mean, he could get the hits on no lock-on, which is the real question in no lock-on play. I mean, he got, what, 13 runs in that series right there? That's a
quite
good
a lot.
amount of runs. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I believe, if we look at this correctly, this was the best run-scoring series of the year, of the week, for any team in the league.
Yeah, he definitely proved that he's not here to play in no lock-on. And Matt, he did get swept, but I think that he proved that he's doing a lot better than last season. Might need to shake a little bit more of the rest off. We'll see how he keeps on performing in the upcoming weeks, but I still think he has the potential to return to a season 1 triple P self and compete with the top dogs, but we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, Slime. What'd you think of Kane Gang in this series?
His hitting was great. He was making contact on almost everything. And
Yeah.
getting some dink to boot. That's something else.
Yeah.
I think later on in the season, he will be a monster.
Yeah.
I don't think that we're gonna have to wait until later on in the season. I mean, I think
Might be
we're
coming up soon.
in for another YG situation where he's already coming in so good and he's just gonna be getting better and better. He's already a monster. I mean, I feel like just from this week right here, you got to look at him on the schedule, and that's a scary matchup. I mean, you don't get 13 runs just from not doing anything, not practicing hard, not making a good transition over to no lock-on. So he's in for one heck of a season, I think.
Yeah, and I think there are some positives to take away from Matt's performance as well, despite the sweep.
I think that he was getting hits pretty well. A lot better than he was last season, for sure. Sometimes he was struggling on that end, but he got a little bit of hits here and there. I mean, he got the runs. He just couldn't outscore Kang and his hyper offense that we saw from him.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what both of these players need to do to kind of continue to maybe not continue, but keep their momentum going a little bit. Kind of walk me through, what it's like to kind of maybe adjust from a lock-on 3 play to lock-on 0 and try to keep that up throughout a whole season.
Lock-on 3 play is just, it's so much different than no lock-on. Making the switch, if you aren't experienced already on no lock-on, is really difficult because in lock-on 3, you're going up against the best pitchers, but you're given so much room for error in terms of where you could swing. You can kind of just like flick your joystick wherever you want and make pretty good contact because the no lock-on is going to kind of lock you on. But no lock-on, you don't have that. You got to hold your swing even through, or you got to hold your PCI even through the swing, everything, no help at all. So making the switch, a lot of people who make the switch, they tend to jam their PCI a whole lot and they can't get to those intermediate balls, and they can't catch up to the fast balls in those intermediate areas. So I think that as long as he has that down, he's going to be in for a heck of a season, as I said. And for the Melonheads, I think that as long as he keeps up this hitting, I think that he can definitely, take some games, become a contender later on in the season. But he's got to cut down on giving up those runs, because 13 runs allowed is kind of unacceptable, no matter who your pitchers are.
Yeah, no bueno. All right. So with that, Kane Kings, Humongous Melonheads, big sweep for Kane Kings. He is tied at the top of the table after week 1 at a 3-0 record. Let's move on to our next series, the North Shore Honu, owned by Zumikaku, and the Smooth Jazz, owned by Jeff DeBoss. a little bit dicey early on for both teams, but the North Shore Honu coming back to win 2 of 3.
Yeah, I thought this was a very good series. I thought that a lot was proved by both competitors. Of course, both competitors are already proven. They've both been in EPL for a couple of seasons now. We all knew that Jeff DeBoss could take a game off the North Shore Honu, and to do it in extra innings in Game 1, it solidified that he's going to be a player that you have to look out for. Can't sleep on him when he comes up on your schedule because he has that experience. He's definitely a dark horse to contend and make the playoffs and everything. But Zumi, he came out. Game 2 was a little bit dicey. He only won that game by 1 run, but we know Zumi. Sometimes those games get a little bit dicey for him, and Game 3 kind of just took over and got 6 runs. But I think that both teams, they did show a lot. Of course, Zumi, we know what to expect from him. Jeff, taking that game, really nice from him, but we all know that Jeff is one of the more talented players in this league. So no surprise.
Yeah, and SlimeFall, you have a lot of experience playing Zumi Kaku. What did you see from that Week 1 series for Zumi? I know he had to shake off a little bit of rust in Game 1, but he really came back strong in 2 and 3.
Just his hitting. That's the only thing I can really see. When he starts locking in on hitting, you're just gonna be stuck.
Yeah,
Bloop on you.
Yeah, them bloops are killer. You really gotta. The key to stopping the bloops, I shouldn't be saying this because I benefit so much from the bloops, but you gotta bring that infield in. That's a key when you're facing these guys that get a lot of bloops. You gotta bring that infield in.
Yeah.
Really, why do you have to bring the infield in?
You gotta stop them bloops. If you got that outfield, even in standard position, it leaves that gap, like, for them bloops to just go right over. If you're watching for runners or even watching for bloops, YG, he watches for bloops all the time, even against players with higher power, because them bloops, I mean, they're a lot easier to get than a nice big power hit, because I mean, you can get bad contact and it's just going to end up with a bloop barely going over the infield. So bringing in that outfield to help out, it just helps out a lot, especially against somebody that's not power swinging a lot and not sending those balls into the warning track, into places where your outfield can't get it.
Definitely, yeah, because you said infield in. I think you meant to say outfield in.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I mean, to be fair, I've seen a lot of YG bring like forward defense and bring everybody in too, on a lot of people. He's also, I've been noticed in his series, he watched for bunts a lot, and I'm not sure what the shift is for watching for bunts, but he was just shifting. The person he was going up against didn't bunt one single time, but he was watching for bunts for some reason. I don't know if that's something in that shift is useful, or
maybe
I don't know,
or just a really weak hit.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to bring YG on the roundtable sometime and talk with him about that.
Man, that would be awesome. I wish. That would be really cool. He has a lot of interesting stuff to say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, maybe we can ask him to come on sometime.
Maybe.
All right.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, so talking a little bit more about Jeff's performance here. Obviously, he didn't have a great season last year, bottom half of the table. What kind of positives do you take away from Jeff's performance? Kind of, as he was facing a very good competitor in Zumi Kaku, how can he kind of, keep this up going forward? Try to get some momentum.
I mean, he's just got to start stringing the hits more together. He did a pretty decent job holding back the runs, excluding Game 3 where Zumi got 6. But, I mean, he's got to get his offense up, and get some more runs on the board if he's really going to want to take these games, because that's really the key. If you're scoring 1 or 2 runs a game, it's kind of tough to win a lot of series unless your pitching staff is insane. Like, if you're Sir Bacon Bits, you could get away with that, but not a lot of people are Sir Bacon Bits.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, 1 and 2 runs a game doesn't normally get the job done, like you said.
I mean, sorry. So basically, you just want him to just pile on runs, just keep it going. Just don't. You can't stop. 2 runs ain't enough. Even when they got 0, you gotta pile on some more.
Yeah, basically, especially against those lesser pitchers. Of course, whenever you got one of your studs out, you can afford to get 1 or 2 runs and still get the game. But whenever you're bringing your lesser pitchers out, more than likely these better players are going to be taking 3-4 runs off them, even more. So you really gotta hit well to succeed in this league, whether that be contact or power hitting.
Definitely. So Honu, 2 of 3 against the Smooth Jazz. They're at 2-1 going into week 2 play. Space City Comets and Chicago Curve. Hey, that's your team there, Compass. Big 2 of 3 from you there, but a little bit upended there in game 3. 2 of 3 though, not bad start to the season.
Yeah, I felt pretty decent winning this series. Of course, it was a little bit dicey. Game 1, we did have a DC in there, and I mean, I got a couple pitches that I really liked down the middle that I sent off with Rebu. Rebu had 2 bombs that game, but the other 2 games, they were really dicey. The Curves pitching is really nice. Daigo is a really tough opponent, as well as Onishi with goggles. He's got a lot of really nice pitching talent, and he really held me back on the runs, especially in Game 3. I really couldn't get anything going. In Game 2, I almost lost that series, or almost lost that game. Well, almost lost the series with that, but I had a big comeback in the 9th inning to walk it off, so I got really lucky there, but he was pitching really good.
Yeah, and the pitching stuff, you know, and the pitching was key for him in this series, right, Slime?
Yeah, I gotta say it was. Man, a few words.
Hey, that's fine. That's totally fine. So yeah, the pitching for the Chicago Curve in this one, you know, games 2 and 3, it was really on point there, really holding Compass's offense down there a little bit in game 2 and 3, but Comets, they really strung some hits together in game 1. That's usually the offense that we usually see from Compass. When he strings some hits together, you know, he can get that manic base running going as well.
Yeah, it's definitely what I wanted to get going, but I felt like I couldn't get going. Basically, all my runs in game 1 came off meatball pitches, so really, if he cleans that up, he pitched Onishi with goggles, who has F control. If he can clean up those mistake pitches where he's throwing meatballs down the middle, and he has Daigo, he didn't make many mistakes with Daigo, but Daigo can also be prone to those things, especially with that meatball perk. If he can clean up his pitching, he's gonna go far this season, I think, with his pitching staff. I mean, he's got some killers on his staff, and it's hard. I mean, you see it firsthand. He held back my offense.
I said, yeah, that's a big hold off the Compass offense. That's one of the toughest challenges you can do.
Definitely.
His offense is going, you just can't stop it.
Definitely. So yeah, Space City Comets, 2 of 3 against the Chicago Curve. Very good stuff from the Comets, and you know, some very promising stuff from the Chicago Curve as well. Yeah, and I agree. If he can get his pitching together, it's going to be a lot better season than what he had last year, bottom of the table. Going to be interesting to see how that progresses throughout the season. We'll talk about his Week 2 game coming up in a little bit. Both of yours Week 2 games. Let's go ahead and move on to what we just saw a little bit. We're recording this on Thursday night, so we haven't had a couple of games in this particular series as of well, not particular series, but this particular week as of yet. But this is one that just wrapped up as we're recording this. The Philadelphia Bandits in X-Long X. And honestly, I gotta say, this was probably one of the more, maybe the more surprising results of the week. You have X-Long X, who is kind of, bottom half of the table last year, taking on the Philadelphia Bandits, B. Farrell. Literally, he told us that he literally just got the Switch back out of the box to play this season. He had not touched the game since the end of last season. He comes in game one, a good 3-0 victory, but X-Long X, he was absolutely dominant with the pitching in this series.
Yeah, X-Long, his pitching this series, it was spectacular. I mean, we were all watching in the call together, and he was just dotting up. He would dot up the top left zone just over and over again. Slider going out of it, fastball hitting the zone, something going out of it, trying to get him to swing. He was really putting the ball wherever he wanted on the pitching end. And he was also batting really well too in games 2 and 3. Of course, in game 1 against Ribukai, he struggled to get the runs in, but Ribukai is a good pitcher. He was the Bandits' first round draft pick, but even against like Yaku Mask, he was stringing together those runs really, really well. He was getting a whole lot of runs in. I think that was a big promising series for X-Long and a huge victory for him too in the series.
Yeah, X-Long, one of the our oldest competitor in this particular league, getting started with a 2-1 series. That's very, very good stuff. But B. Farrell definitely showed a little bit of rust here today. Here in this series, I do believe.
Yeah, he definitely did show a little bit of rust, but B. Farrell's little bit of rust, it was still pretty good. I mean, he was still hitting bombs. Of course, game 3, he went scoreless, but we saw a couple bombs from him. We expect the rust to shake off as the season goes along, and I think that he showed that he's still going to compete even while he's shaking off the rust, so it's going to be... I still think that he's going to contend. This holds him back from winning regular season champion or anything.
Already?
Once you lose that series, it's hard to win the regular season champion. I mean, we saw YG last season. He only lost that one series against B. Farrell. So, and this season, I think that there's going to be people that are really going to be motivated to take that regular season title. And I wouldn't be surprised if the person that takes it doesn't drop a single series. I can realistically think that could happen, especially with YG only dropping one last year.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, it will be interesting to see how the Bandits kind of recover from this. We talked a little bit about the defense a little bit for the Bandits when we talked about their team, but there were a couple of fielding mistakes there that led to some of those runs that X-Long got in games 2 and 3.
Yeah, I mean, area fielding was not kind to B. Farrell. He's definitely got to adjust to that. We saw some mistakes that really shouldn't be happening. And plus B. Farrell's lineup, I mean, we talked about it last week. It was definitely very weird. We all know that B. Farrell comes in with these weird lineups that are optimized for his offense. Might not have the best defense, but I mean, he might be running Sendo and Reboot Kai at his corner outfielders, and then like Hino in the right field if he really wants to. Like, he's crazy like that.
But you know what? He's having fun with it though, and isn't that really what matters?
Yeah, I mean, he's having fun with it. I wish that I could do that and have fun with it, but I feel like if I do that, I would not be having fun with it. Hino drops one ball for me. Sendo can't get to one ball. I'm not happy. I'm not having fun with it no more.
Yeah, Hino drops one ball and you're crashing out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that would be the same for you too, Slime, right?
Yeah, one bad fielding mistake and I'm crashing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's all about managing those crash outs too when you play, right?
Yeah. I mean, we all know how I am. I mean, I get mad at the game. Sometimes you gotta reset. I feel like I'm pretty decent at resetting, but sometimes the game, it just doesn't go your way, and in the moment, the emotions be flying. I mean, I try not to get so mad at a video game, but hey, I mean, whenever there's competition, there's emotions.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
That
I
just shows you care.
Yeah, I definitely believe, though, that this was probably one of the more impressive hitting performances of the week, especially from X. Gotta give him his flowers, He was not a great hitter last year, nor was he a great... Well, he was kind of a good pitcher, if I recall correctly, but definitely not like elite level. I think we just saw maybe potentially at least close to elite pitching level from X-Long today.
I definitely think that it was elite level. He was placing that ball wherever he wanted to. And then his bat on the other side, it was definitely looking very much improved. You gotta think, I don't know how much he played on the dock last season. I know that he did play on the dock a little bit. I don't know if he played any handheld, but he did play this game handheld as we saw from his stream. Is that going to be the difference? Is X-Long more comfortable on handheld and the Switch is going to make him into a contender? I mean, based on what we've seen, I think that it's definitely possible.
Yep, we'll see how that goes throughout the regular season. So X-Long, 2-1, scoring 7 runs, giving up 4. Solid series from him. See how he does next week. Let's go ahead and move on to our next series, the Ghost Town Revenants and the DC Delegates. Revenants winning 2 of 3 in this series, winning game 1 6-1, winning game 3 1-0. DC Delegates, owned by Hokovy, 5-3 winners in game number 2. I honestly want to say, this might have been, as we record this, probably a very great debut performance by one of the newcomers to the league.
Yeah, both him and Dat Shadow were coming into both their series in similar situations, and I think that they both proved themselves. Of course, game 1 didn't go his way. We know what YG brings to the table. But game 2, he really came out and he scored 5 runs. Even though that he gave away 3 runs, it didn't matter because his offense was just that good. The other 2 games, his offense just wasn't flowing because, YG's pitching staff is definitely not one to mess with. But I think game 2 was the Doe game. I think Doe struggled a little bit, and I was... correct me if I'm wrong if it wasn't Doe that pitched in that game, but I was questioning how good Doe was going to be because Doe is not typically that great of a pitcher in these type of leagues with that cutter. I feel like that cutter is a little easy to hit just because it doesn't have that much movement and it kind of pauses. It kind of gives the hitter a time to react to it. So I think that's why we saw Doe fall as far as we did. I mean, he was round 2, high round 2, but definitely not one of the first couple of picks round 2. I mean, we saw him drop pretty low considering what his cost is.
Yeah, what were some of your takeaways from that series, Slime?
Good debut for YG. That getting a dub off of YG, that's new to the league. Usually, most of the time, if you're new to the league, we think you might get swept your first series, but you prove everybody wrong by at least winning a game. And they won a game against YG. That was good.
That's
game
always
3
a great
was
sign.
Game 3 was real close, really close nail biter, that one.
Yeah, game 3 could have gone either way.
Yeah, holding him to 1 run was definitely really good, especially with a talented offensive player like YG. We know YG is he's a great hitter, both as a power hitter and a contact hitter. He could do it both. So, holding him to 1 run, pretty nice.
Yeah, and the Revenants, YG's team, they're going to be facing off against Big Sid next week. So we haven't seen Big Sid play yet, but that's going to be a very fun series coming up next week.
Oh, I'm going to have fun doing my predictions for that, talking about that. That's going to be a whole lot of fun if Big Sid's going to live up to the hype that we put on him. Of course, we haven't seen him in week 1. We'll see that tomorrow, but if he's living up to expectations, that's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, and obviously, despite losing a game, I think YG had a very solid start to the season, all things considered. Both well, at least with the hitting.
Yeah, I mean, he strung together hits really well. I don't think he could ever be mad about winning a series. But yeah, I mean, he strung together those hits really well. He did really well pitching, except in game 2. But other than that, he looked like the regular YG that we all know.
Yep, and it's going to be a matter of if he can do enough to win a regular season title again, or potentially make it to the playoffs and potentially go to the Summit Series this year. Be interesting to see how that goes going forward. All right. Yeah, definitely. So we're still waiting on Bay Area Rockets versus Wolverines and Sassy Squatches and Borkua Islanders as of our recording. So let's go ahead and move on to the Rattlers and the Purple Hurricanes. Rattlers owned by MC Scales, Purple Hurricanes owned by our very own SlimeFall, and Purple Hurricanes getting a sweep off of MC Scales, who was one of the hotter teams at the end of last season.
Yeah, Slime, he looked very strong. You want to talk about your series, Slime?
Gladly. We had to get him back from last season. That's all I had. That's the one thing I had. The one takeaway. We had to get him back. He swept us last season, so I had to sweep him right back. Solid pitching from both ends. And there's nothing else I can really say. He's just a good opponent. I think I just got away with it this time.
Yeah, you had some good hitting performances too, Slime.
The bats were slowly waking up. I think after game 1, they started waking up. Unexpected home runs and all.
Yeah, I mean...
12 runs. I don't think that's slowly.
Yeah, I mean, you hit a home run with some players that you normally don't hit home runs with. I mean, I believe you got like Yakiman 3, I believe, with a homer.
Oh, she hit one, just not in. She hit one in the future.
Okay.
Yakiman 5 hit one this season.
Oh, that hasn't happened in our timeline yet.
Yakiman 3 hasn't hit a dinger yet in our timeline. She hit one in the future. But Yakiman 5 though, she got a solid piece of one. I had to try it.
Slime, he's a scary hitter, and he showed it this series. He was taking everything long. I was talking about them shifts earlier. Slime is not one of them dudes you need to bring the outfield in on. You need to send the outfield back on him. He really showed how great of a hitter he is, and to sweep somebody who was, if I remember correctly, the 6th seed last season.
Yep.
He's really good on both sides of the ball, MC Scales. Of course, he kind of struggled this series. Of course, SlimeFall is a really good opponent. Just missed out on the playoffs last season. And definitely one of the favorites to make the playoffs this season with how motivated he seems to be as we're talking to him. But we all know how good Slime is hitting. He could send anything away. He'll try to send anything away. You could have somebody with deep power and 2 trajectory, and he's trying to pull that thing. I mean, he really showed how scary of a hitter he is. I mean, there ain't much more to say.
It may sound like an exaggeration, but it's true. I will try that.
Yeah, but, a 3-0 week, that's a great start for SlimeFall, and, he could be a potential contender for regular season title, given what he did in week 1. Let's go ahead and take a look at the standings real quick before we start talking about our week 2 matchups. And right at the top, we have Purple Hurricanes and SlimeFall and the Kane Kings and Kane Gang in first place at 3-0 records, both with double-digit runs scored during the week. Purple Hurricanes with the better run differential at the end of week 1. They got a few people there at 2-1. Space City Comets, North Shore Honu, Ghost Town Revenants, Subarctic Narwhals, and X Long X. Ghost Town Revenants with 10 runs scored so far. Space City Comets only giving up 3 so far, so good run differential for those two to get things started. Then you have 5 players at 1-2. The Phantoms, Philadelphia Bandits, Smooth Jazz, DC Delegates, and the Chicago Curve. And then at 0-3, you have the Humongous Melonheads and the Rattlers. The Borkua Islanders, Sassy Squatches, Bay Area Rockets, and Wolverines have not played their series as of our recording on Thursday night. So, any takeaways from these early standings for both of you?
I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting the 2 undefeated teams through week 1 to be Slime and King. No, definitely not what I expected. I mean, some of these top teams, they're who you expect to be at the top. I think the only person with 2 wins that you wouldn't expect to have 2 or more wins would be X Long. I think we expected him to kind of drop the series to be feral, but him staying there, we'll see if he could stay in that playoff hunt, but so far he's looking really nice. If you take a look down below that, I think that you're going to see some of these 1 and 2 teams start picking it up, like the Bandits. I think we could see the Curve start picking it up more as we go up along the season, as well as the Smooth Jazz. But yeah, I mean, in terms of regular season contenders, it's going to be kind of hard coming back from a week 1 loss, especially if you're 1 and 2. If you went 0-3, it's going to be especially hard, and it's going to take a lot of sweeps to make it happen. But yeah, I think that's all I gotta say.
You described that perfectly. All I gotta say. I mean, you said something that didn't sound right, but felt some shade thrown at me right there.
I mean, you were going up against MC Scales, who...
Fair enough.
I mean, we all know that MC Scales is a great player, and that's no shade to you. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think anyone would expect me to be sweeping MC Scales.
I didn't think I was, honestly. I think I just really got away with that one.
I mean, you're just that type of player where you can get hot like that, and you can really win a series or sweep anybody, I feel like. But you also have a tendency, just because you chase a lot, you can kind of drop series that weren't supposed to. And I feel like that's kind of why that you were left out of the playoffs last season. But as long as you could keep consistent this season, which I feel like you definitely can, definitely going to be in that playoff hunt, and you definitely started out strong, and this is going to help out a whole lot into making the playoffs.
Alrighty. Yeah, chase. Yeah, do chase a lot. Yeah, little bit.
Tiny bit.
Hey, all the great hitters chase. You gotta make sure that you can't get to it. I mean, you might think that you can't get to it and you send that ball out. I mean, I'd be pitching on the black all the time, and Slime just sends it out without chasing. I don't think that he sends a lot of them pitches on the black out. You gotta try it.
All right, so before we go to our week 2 predictions, we do have a trade that we need to discuss a little bit, and that came courtesy of MC Scales and the Phantoms, owned by Dat Shadow. This trade right here, the Rattlers trading third baseman Shimada to the Phantoms for the outfielder and catcher Shiroi. Now, this is a pretty big trade early on. You know, you got a very solid hitter in Shimada going to the Phantoms, and the Rattlers getting back a very pretty good outfielder as well.
Yeah, I think the Phantoms definitely won this trade on paper in terms of value. I think Shimada is definitely better than Shiroi, definitely a better hitter, but we all know that the outfield is a much needed position. The thing is with this trade on both sides, it gets a little bit dicey because Shiroi was that shadow center fielder, and now you're looking at his team and he kind of needed a third base if you want to play Regu in the outfield, but you're looking, it's his best option is probably like Izayoi or something in center field, and it's not really looking that great. He's gonna have to really utilize his shifts a lot. It leaves a lot of question marks, and we might see a little bit more trades flow around from him to try to replace that center fielder spot, but it's going to be pretty hard because center fielder is a much needed position. Now with MC Scales, his situation, he gets his corner outfielder that is needed, but he gave up his third baseman. He's got Shacho waiting behind him, but Shimada's better than Shacho, especially on the hitting side with Shacho's low contact. A lot of people don't like that. I feel like he could have gotten a little bit more value than Shiroi. Shiroi's definitely not bad or anything, but Shiroi doesn't have like clinical or anything, has some bad perks, I think like easy out or something like that. It's not the most ideal situation, and I feel like if you're trading away Shimada for a corner outfielder, I feel like you want more offense than what you're grabbing with Shiroi. Yeah, he's got F clutch. I mean, he's not the best bat. I mean, he's definitely a usable bat, but he's not the best bat. And it's not like he's going to be playing center field for you because you already got Morales, you got Gundo who can play center field, but probably won't. But on a lot of teams, he would be a pretty good center fielder.
I don't know. I could see Gundo playing center field maybe.
Over Morales?
Oh, Morales.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Morales then will be their center fielder.
Yeah, so, I mean, that gives him a corner outfielder, but I don't know. I feel like you could have sacrificed a little bit on the defense for a little bit more on the offensive side of the ball. I feel like it's a little bit wasteful to try to put in such a good fielder at the corner that isn't that much of a threat with their bat, especially when you have people like Morales and Gundo already roaming around the outfield who are gonna, be taking up a lot of range already. So you're losing out on a lot of value right there. Actually, just looking at it, I think Gundo starts at first base, not gonna lie. So maybe that's a reason, and if that's the case, I would more look at trading for a first baseman because Gundo is too good of an outfielder to just leave out the outfield, in my opinion. I mean, when you're in this league with a lack of true outfielders, someone with Gundo that has a lot of speed, a big arm, not a bad jump in the outfield at all. Of course, he has a better jump on the first base, but the first base isn't that needed of a defensive position. You could get away with throwing in a lesser defender at first base. I mean, we even see B. Farrell putting in Ribukai at first base. I mean, I feel like he's kind of needed in that outfield. I would have rather traded for a big power hitting or nice hitting first baseman, but
yeah. But does it still fill some needs for both teams though?
It definitely does fill some needs for both teams, but it definitely leaves some holes for both teams, and I definitely don't think that it was optimal for both teams. But I think that the right ideas are there, and I think that they need to move some more pieces around to really optimize what they're getting.
All right, so there's our first big trade of the season. The Rattlers trading Shimada to the Phantoms for Shiroi. Gonna be interesting to see how that trade plays out through the rest of the regular season. All right, let's go to our final aspect of today's roundtable, and that is our Week 2 predictions. And let's go ahead and get started right. Well, first of all, we're going to talk about a series that has already happened this week. It was a pre-submission during Week 1. North Shore Honu taking on the Purple Hurricanes. And it was the Honu taking 2 of 3 in this one, including a 7-inning Mercy Rule game in Game 1 that I am very sure SlimeFall has a lot to say about.
What can I say to start this off? He just locked in on me that one game. He just kept getting a bloop after bloop. My outfield couldn't make it in time to another hit. He was
Gotta bring the outfield in. Gotta watch for the bloops.
I could, man. I be thinking about it. Sometimes I'm like, I'll watch for bloops. The game's just gonna do what it does best. Hit the ball over my head just because. And if I watch for a bloop, it's gonna go flying over. If I don't watch for a bloop, they're gonna hit a bloop. I'm just in an endless loop of what can I do? Because he hit the dinger early on, and I was like, okay, I gotta figure something out.
Yeah.
Like we said before, if he goes for power, you are kind of screwed. That means he got you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, 10-0 in Game 1 is
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that.
I want to talk about it. Nah. I'll just say I called it. You bounced back pretty nice in Game 2 for what happened in Game 1. I mean, after something like that in Game 1, you'd kind of expect Game 2, you're kind of still rattled from that. I mean, winning Game 2 off that is pretty nice, and Game 3 was pretty close after that too.
Yeah, overall, pretty back and forth.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
Overall, it wasn't the worst series for you, but of course Game 1 is a little bit dicey. I want to ask you, how did you reset for Game 2 after a loss like that to win right after?
I said, dang. Well, it just happened like that. I said, well, it is what it is. I got 2 more games to go. And just focus up for the next one.
Yeah, you just gotta move on. Just gotta forget about it.
Yeah, like I was a little upset about it. Because I was like, dang, I knew it was going to be a challenge. I didn't know I was going to get run ruled Game 1. I was trying to, this whole season I was going to make sure I can't get run ruled. And, well, Zumi ruined that immediately. That plan is out of the window.
I'm hoping I don't get run ruled, but someday it's bound to happen. Of course, I got run ruled last season. It's never a good feeling, but bouncing back is pretty nice. It's hard to bounce back, in my opinion. Once you get run ruled like that, it's damaging. You lose confidence. The questions start popping up in your mind if you can even beat them, if you can even compete with them, and to reset your mindset, it's a hard thing to do.
It didn't get to me. It got to me a little bit. I was fine with it. It got to my players really bad. I can tell you that. Half of the team was not happy for me.
Yeah, you briefly lost the locker room there a little bit.
Yeah. Suzu was pretty happy about that.
If you were in the NBA, they would have fired you for losing the locker room after that. They always fire the coach.
But Game 2, we bounced back. Game 3, nail biter, from start to finish. I was stressing. I know good and well Zumi was stressing. I mean, I went to his end after the game was over, and all I heard him go was, I was like, yep, that's what I do better.
Yeah, and you said I believe, and I quote, let's see, that series shaved some years off of me.
Oh, it sure did. I can tell you that. Every time I go against Zumi, I get years shaved off of me.
Zumi can do that. He's a feisty little player right there.
He's every time I go against him, he's like, "Oh, why Slime? Why is it always you?" I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, but in some senses, this was a little bit of revenge for the series that the Honu and Hurricanes had last season. That you, Slime, won 2 of 3 of, and kept Zumi from winning the regular season championship.
Yeah, I respect his decisions of how that happened. I just had a lot to prove that year, and I was being a villain just because I understand why he had to get that.
Should have went through another training arc. Wouldn't have happened.
I didn't have enough time.
Yeah,
I went through a tiny batting practice. Right?
Hey, we love our batting practice arcs, you know? We all have those at some point or another playing Power Pros.
Hey, I'm always in my batting practice arc. I treat batting practice like it's a job. I'm always in batting practice. Gotta hit batting practice for 1 hour a day at least.
That was like, even though I got run over and lost the series, it was still a good series. I couldn't even be mad. Game 3 was, like I said, it was a real nail biter. Some unexpected. Like, I mean, this is gonna be me foreshadowing the future. But Misono, her debut at bat, she showed off.
Yeah, hit a home run.
Hit a home run to bring us down to 1. She did her thing. And Yaku, man, she did her thing. Number 3, she popped off as well.
Yeah, that was fun to see.
And then we can't forget about the man himself. He had to get him one.
Oh yeah, good old Sanban.
Sanban.
So Compass, if we had not had this series completed yet, and we did not hear anything that was just said, how would you have predicted this series to go?
Well, I actually predicted it in the chat. I predicted it 2-1 Zumi. I said that Zumi was gonna get his revenge. I mean, I think that Slime can vouch for me that I made that statement before the series.
I can confirm he did make that statement. I was there. I was there when he said it. I was right next to him.
Yep, he was right next to me.
I gave him a look and everything.
To my house.
Yeah, I gave him a look and everything that said, "Come on, buddy, I'm right here."
All right, well, speaking of predictions, let's go ahead and start our predictions. We're going to go right to the end here and start with a matchup of two of the more impressive Week 1 performances. DC Delegates taking on X-Long X. DC Delegates 1-2, X-Long 2-1. Compass, what are you thinking with this series?
Well, this is gonna be a big fun matchup. Of course, we see both teams had to face off against 2 Season 1 contenders, and they both proved what they needed to prove. Of course, X-Long took his series, and the DC Delegates, they took a game off YG. It's gonna be a whole lot of fun. If I take a look at their staffs,
I think this series might be an X-Long's favor, even with the pitching rest he had. Yeah, because we just saw his game against B. Farrell. His pitching is disgusting.
Yeah, his pitching is disgusting. If we're looking at Hokovi, his rest, X-Long, he's gonna be facing Afro Ikari first game, then he's gonna be facing Yamaguchi, then most likely Queen Kokoro. It's gonna be getting, in my opinion, Game 1's gonna be the hardest, Game 2 gonna be middle, Game 3 is gonna be the easiest against Queen Kokoro. Not that Queen Kokoro is that bad of a pitcher, but if we look at X-Long, his best pitcher, Asa, is gonna be ready for Game 2. He doesn't really have his best pitchers ready for Game 1, so it might be a tough challenge for him. in Game 1. I think that we are going to see Exlong take the series 2-1, and I think that he's going to win games 2 and 3. I think that the Delegates win Game 1 off of Afro Akari.
Very interesting. Now, Slime, you mentioned that Exlong's pitching was really good. Do you think that's going to be a big factor in this series?
Yeah, I think so. But again, I still don't know much about Hoku's pitching or his hitting. Really. Like the first game, I still don't have enough info on him really, considering that was my first time actually seeing him play. But I've been up against Exlong a bunch of times as well, just like everyone else. But like Compass said, a 2-1 series, yeah, Hokuvi could take a win. I'm not just thinking it might go either way, just because Yamaguchi's a great pitcher. That fork ball will always mess up somebody. No matter how experienced you are, Yamaguchi's fork ball will mess you up.
Yeah.
Afro Joe Akari, he might have him two-way. Might have him pitching and hitting, because his hitting is a force to be reckoned with. And his signature pitch is his curveball. It ain't his special pitch. No, everyone listening, no, it's not his fastball. No.
Yeah, it's that level 7 curve.
It may say special pitch number whatever, but no, it's actually his curveball. Because that curveball is nutty. Very good.
Yeah, that curveball. It's so difficult to hit. Even on lock on 3, it's difficult to hit. Much less no lock on. All those players with them big curves are just ugh.
Even when it just paints on the line, you just sometimes, I don't know if it's just me, but whenever I see a pitch just paint the line like that, like a curve that has that much break, I'm just thinking in my head, I don't know if this is a strike or a ball. I don't want to swing if it's a ball, but I want to swing if it's a strike. If you don't swing, it'll be a strike.
Yeah, and then they get it all curving. It curves far when it comes down. It'll hit like the bottom corner or something. And then they'll throw it at like the top and it'll barely hit the zone. It'll barely move at all. It's just so difficult. That curveball is so dynamic.
That's the thing. Does he also have runners? I think. Oh, yeah, it's momentum. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know how good momentum is in a league like this when you're not usually letting your pitchers go the full game. I don't know when momentum kicks in. I think it kicks in the 7th, which is exactly where you would particularly want to take out your pitcher.
Unless it's like a game you really want to win.
Yeah, I feel like with a pitcher like Afro Akari, it would be really nice to have like a 4-pitcher rotation that you just like don't have any relievers for. But that's really hard to draft for and really hard to ask for. Just for momentum on your best pitcher. But yeah, I mean, Afro Akari, super good. Could go either way.
Now I'm looking at him. He does have B runners, so that curveball breaks even more when you don't want it to.
Yep. So what's your prediction, Slime?
I'm gonna be different. Give me 2-1 the Delegates, because like I said, Yamaguchi is a force to be reckoned with.
All right. So 2 of 3 for the Delegates is Slime's prediction. Compass going 2 of 3 for Exlong. This is gonna be a fun series, I bet. This is gonna be a good one. So yeah, I'm not gonna make a prediction of my own, but this is gonna be a series to watch.
It's going to be a whole lot of fun, and I mean, I gave my prediction, but my prediction is not set in stone at all. This can go any which way possible, in my opinion. We could see anything that series.
Yep. All right, so our next series...
He ain't even here.
Yeah, our next series... Oh, man, we don't have John on for this one, but it's a team we haven't seen yet this year. The Bay Area Rockets, they're going to be facing off against Greg the Egg's Subarctic Narwhals in a pretty fascinating series, I do believe.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say who's gonna win because we haven't seen the Bay Area Rockets, and therefore we can't compare rest and everything. But we know John, he missed the playoffs last season. He was at the bottom 9 of the standings. He didn't have the best record, but his run differential showed that he was a better opponent than his record would say. And since that, we've seen him improve so much. I mean, he even made the E Premier 12, was 1 game away from making it to playing in the Tokyo Dome. I mean, he's improved a whole lot, but on the other side, Greg is one of the best no lock-on players that we have in our game. He didn't get to participate last season, but whenever we were unaffiliated, can't say it enough, he was the runner-up of that season, so we all know how good he is. If we take a look at his pitchers, he's going to have Mileman ready for game 1, so that's going to be a tough series. We don't know how the Rockets' rest is going to look, but then he's going to have Kareba and then One ready. After that, all 3 of those pitchers are just tough pitchers, especially in his hands, where he's so good with the curveball. He's got Kareba, who he's known for really pitching well, and then One also has that curveball and iron ball. Just so hard to hit off of. But you take a look at John's staff, I mean, he has Kiba that can compete. It really depends on who he's pitching against the Wolverines and how much rest they're getting. But after Kiba, Karasuma is alright, Kamitaka is alright, but definitely nobody that's on the level of Kiba. I definitely think that Kareba and One are better than anybody else that he has. So I think that Greg is taking this 2-1. I think that he'll take game 1 because of Mileman. I think that he wins game 1 and 2 off Mileman and Kareba, and I think that he barely loses the One game. But it could really go any way.
All right, Slime, what are you thinking on this series?
Clean sweep the Narwhals.
He ain't gonna be happy watching this.
Just for the jokes. Just for the balls. Give me the clean sweep for the Narwhals. I love you, John. Remember that.
All right.
He ain't gonna be happy watching this.
We'll see. He'll talk to us later. Don't worry. All right. So Compass predicting 2 of 3 for the Narwhals. Slime predicting a clean sweep for the Narwhals in week 2. Let's move on to the Chicago Curve and the humongous Melonheads. Clutch versus Matt. Now, what are you thinking on this series? We had some great potential with the Chicago Curve. A little bit of potential for Matt here. Who wins out in this battle of potential?
Yeah, Compass, I think your input might be best here because I only played Clutch once, and that was first season of EPL.
I played Clutch quite a bit. He was in Triple P. Then I played him last season. Then I played him week 1. He's a good opponent.
I don't think I've ever played Matt yet.
I played Matt.
I've never played him, so my input won't be helpful here.
Man, he needs to shake off the rust. I keep on believing in him. I know he can play like his season 1 self. He used to be competing. All right.
Ironically, Zoom is the reason why I didn't get the voted season 1. That is so funny. You saved me from red delegation, then I said I'll repay you by winning against you. Damn, I still didn't do that.
So what are we thinking here? Just in terms of the overall series.
Oh man, it's gonna be tough. I think Daigo's gonna be out for the first game. Onishi might be out for the second game if I remember correctly. If we go over to Matt's side, his possessed Atsumori is going to be out for game 1, and his regular Akari is going to be ready for game 3, but he's going to have Kurama ready for game 1. It's going to be tough, but with Clutch's pitching staff, I think that he's going to take the series. It's going to be hard to get hits off Daigo and Onishi. And then he pitches Zenigata. He was pitching Zenigata decently well against me. I think that he takes it 2-1.
Did he throw Frank and Oda against you?
Think so.
Yeah, he got a good pitching staff. 8 people.
Yeah, he's got a lot of pitchers, not gonna lie, especially with Frank and Oda.
Daigo's a different roster when he's a reliever. Onishi. He was gonna be one of my picks until he got snatched.
Onishi, he's sneaky good. I mean, he got that
Have
bullet.
him pitch a good day. Just have him pitch on a good day. Yaki Man too, she's pretty good. That crescent moon screwball still messes me up. Tsuchinaka, Mr. Peanut. He might be a sneaky good pitcher. I never really used him much.
Mr. Peanut, I've never heard that before. That's funny.
Honestly, that's an apt comparison given his face shape.
Looks like
I've heard a muskrat. I've heard a beaver. I've never heard Mr. Peanut before.
I got a good view of him. The side of his face looks like a peanut. It looks like a peanut, you know. That's another nickname to the roster of Mr. Mushroom, Muskrat, and Beaver.
Mr. Mushroom? Oh yeah,
that's Kino. That's Kino.
I forgot.
That was on my.
That one completely crossed my mind.
Any noticeable appearance?
Yeah. So what are we thinking with this series, Slime?
I'm gonna be weird. I like the melon heads too much, so make it 2-3 melon heads.
All right. So a bit of a split from our panel here today. 2 of 3 for the Chicago Curve, 2 of 3 for the Melonheads. I love this matchup here. I'm going to be definitely watching this series with great anticipation.
Yeah, this is going to be a big fun series, not going to lie. I'm gonna have fun watching this series.
Get your peanuts ready for that series, Phil.
Definitely. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Kang Kings taking on the Wolverines. That we have not seen the Wolverines in action yet. We have seen the Kang Kings. They took a 3-0 series sweep in their first series. What do we think with this series here?
Well, I mean, Kang Gang, he proved a whole lot in his first series. Can't say much about Shelly yet because we haven't seen him play. If we're looking at pitcher rest, Unkai's going to be out for game 1, and Nijitani is going to be out for the entire series. So we will not be seeing Nijitani in week 3, but everybody else is open for any other game. It's just Unkai that has the rest that needs to come back. On Shelly's end, we don't know the rest yet because he hasn't played in week 1, but his pitching staff is really strong on paper. Well, at least through the first 4 pitchers, I would say. After that, kind of drops off a little bit, especially once you get to Tanakayama or Rakugaki. It's a little bit rough around the edges, but those first 4 pitchers are really strong. It depends on how the rest goes down, but Kang, he proved a lot, and he's going to have some pitchers coming up. I would expect Yamino to get most of the innings in game 1. Then game 2 is going to be really hard with Unkai there. And then after that, you got Hisakata or Kujo coming in. It's all of a matter of, can he get hits against Hoshi and Hokuto and Kakurazaka? We don't know how good of a pitcher Shelly is with these pitchers yet, but if I were to guess, he's going to be pretty good. But I'm going to say we're going to see 2-1 Kang, and Shelly is going to win either game 1 or game 3, depending on how his rest goes down, because I don't think he's going to win the Unkai game against Kang especially.
Now you really got me thinking. I just see he does have a good pitching staff. Like the his first 3 picks of the draft, all pretty good pitchers.
And then you put Shiroyama as a reliever on top of that. Shiroyama is not to be slept on.
Shiroyama is his fastball it messes with my eyes.
He got that regular 4-seamer and then that little like special one that drops a little bit.
That makes
He's got iron ball. He's got that vertical slider. I love vertical sliders. They're just so difficult to hit in my opinion, but Shiroyama is probably, if I'm thinking off the top of my head, probably the best pure reliever in the game that can't start. There's probably somebody that I'm missing off the top of my head, but I can only think of the lower guys like Hayakawa and Tachibana and stuff like that. Please correct me if I'm wrong, if there's some like pure reliever that's better than Shiroyama, but off the top of my head, that's the best one. I mean,
maybe Saigo might have it. Probably not.
I would say Shirayama's definitely better, but Saigo probably second.
Because, like we said, we don't know how. As far as I can tell, the only way I know how Shelly pitches is with Myojin. That's the only time I've seen them use during the whole tournament, like the whole USA week. That was the only pitcher I saw them use. Just Myojin. I don't know how else they would do with any other pitcher, but like we said, he do got a good stat. He got Kagura Zaka, Dark Hoshi, Hokuto,
The good one. Gotta add that.
Yeah, the good Hokuto. Right. Can't forget that.
Right.
Like, all good pitchers, and plus Hoshi. Anytime someone has a pitcher on their team that might have Tyrant, they already just shoot up in the probability of winning by a whole lot. Because Tyrant literally nerfs your whole team to the ground. It just nerfs your team.
And Tyrant's good, but I mean, we saw last week, I came back on Daigo, and Daigo's one of the best Tyrant pitchers. Tyrant isn't just an automatic win.
Just has a higher chance than just the whole like minus 20 on the one thing that's important to a batter.
Yeah. Plus Dark Hoshi has that special pitch, which is so hard to hit. I mean, we saw it. We've seen you pitching Suzakaze, who is the best comparison to Dark Hoshi. Mm-hmm. That special pitch is hard to hit. It's not an easy pitch to hit. And then you throw Tyrant on top of it, it's gonna be a difficult game. But on the other side of the coin, if they match up in game 2, Unkai is a tough matchup too, and that's a good pitcher matchup if I do say so myself. But I mean, other than that, I think that Shelly definitely has the stronger staff on paper, other than just the top pitcher. But I mean, based on what we've seen week 1, I think that Kang's gonna pull out with it. I think that he showed too much talent.
Plus, we haven't seen Shelly play. If they can hit like they can on lock on 3, then they might be able to take the series off the Kang.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Can they? That's a huge ask. But
I'm a gambling man.
On the other side of the coin, it seems like all the new players so far have been making a splash straight out the gate. I mean, I can see him coming out and being like that just straight off the bat, because we've seen Kane to come out and be like that straight off the bat. I mean, these new players are coming out and they're not messing around. I mean, who knows?
All right,
so yeah, it's gonna be
what are we thinking, match. Slime?
2-3 Wolverines. I'm a gambling man. I like where this is going.
Alrighty. Alright, so a bit of a split from our panel there. Kings, and Wolverines. Compass says 2 or 3 for the Kings. Slime says 2 or 3 for the Wolverines. See how that goes.
If you're watching, I love you. Don't forget that.
Alright, our next series, we have the Phantoms and Dat Shadow taking on Jeff DeBoss and the Smooth Jazz. Compass, what are your thoughts on this series?
All right, so Dad Shadow's pitching rest. Dad Shadow, we saw last week, he took a game off Greg, as well as Jeff taking a game off Zumi. That's the original Season 2 EPL Championship right there. So they both took a game off their respective series, so they both proved a lot. We go over to the rest. There's a lot of pitchers who are going to be ready for Dat Shadow right off the bat. I mean, he's missing out on the bad Hokuto for a game, and then Hoshi for game 2. So he's got players ready like Otani, Red, Octavia can relieve for him. He's even got like Izagoi, who's not terrible, but Otani is. We saw how good he was in game 1 of last series, and we should expect him to pitch in game 1. But if we look at Jeff, he's got a lot of pitchers out for game 1. I mean, really the only pitchers he can look at is Magic Ball Hoshi, no Goggle Onishi. That's about it, because he's not going to pitch Base Atsumori or Inukawa, I would say. He's got Pappy and Fuku and Roddy out, so it's really going to make a tough matchup for game 1. But after that, once he gets back Pappy and Fuku, he's got some relievers on his hands that are going to be really tough for Dat Shadow to hit. But if I were to pick, I would say Dat Shadow wins 2 out of 3. I definitely think he's going to take game 1, but I think he's also going to secure another.
All right, Slime, what are your thoughts?
I mean, even though he has the bad hope, that's a big man.
I mean, the bad Hokuto ain't even that bad. Level 4 pitches ain't even that bad. It's just the cutter. I'm not a fan of cutters.
I don't know. This is it was this. I honestly don't know, because we saw that Shadow did pretty good. We saw Jeff did pretty good. I don't know between these two. It's actually tough.
I mean, Jeff has the experience on his side, but honestly, I think Dat Shadow has the better pitching staff on paper, and I think that's really what secures wins is the pitching staff. Plus, you gotta think, Jeff also has that killer outfield too, that we talked about last week. Demai Wong, Toy, Black, all those.
That's true. That's true.
People.
You're right. Dish, my good man, make it split.
All right, Smooth Jazz 2 of 3.
Yes, sir.
All right, so another split for our panel this week. Very interesting. That's gonna be another one to watch. The Phantoms, they really made a big splash in week 1. Smooth Jazz, we'll see if they can pull off something too. So see how that goes. All right, we got 3 more series to talk about. We're gonna start with this one right here. We have not seen Big Sid yet play this year, but he's gonna be facing off against YG and the Ghost Town Revenants in week number 2. Compass, what you got?
Oh, this should be a fun one. If Big Sid's living up to our expectations, we have the biggest up-and-comer, in my opinion, the biggest improved player, going up against the reigning regular season champion. We all know how good YG is. We haven't seen Big Sid play, but if we look at YG's breast, he's looking at Allen sitting out until game 3 and Doe sitting out game 2. Doe sitting out game 1. Amazaki's also sitting out game 1. So that first game is gonna be really hard for him. He's probably gonna have to start Varese or Matsuzaki, and he's gonna. It might be tough in game 1, but once he gets his pitchers back in game 2, it's gonna be looking a lot better. I'm not too much a fan of Doe, but can't deny Doway's talent and everything. It's gonna be a tough matchup. We go over to Big Sid's end. We can't tell what his pitching rest is because he hasn't played his series yet, but just on paper, his pitching staff is pretty good. I mean, Aoba is really tough to hit, as well as Bucho. Majuro, I'm a little bit higher on him because he has more of a pitch selection, but also has that cutter I don't like. But if you can pitch that cutter, I mean...
You seem not to like cutters, buddy.
It seems, I swear, every time I watch like somebody with a cutter, they just don't succeed, and I've never had much success with the cutter myself. Every time I go up against the cutter, I feel like I'm hitting really well off of it. I'm just not a fan of it on any end. I don't see much success with it. But, I mean, Majuro also has that heater. He has a nice fastball too. I mean, the cutter on the end, it works if you're going up against the opposite field hitter. I will say that. Bucho, basically another version of Yamaguchi with that level 7 forkball. Pretty hard to hit, but I would say Yamaguchi is slightly better. But still, Bucho is a really nice pitcher. Don't know when he's going to be available. After that, you start getting into some kind of questionable names, if we're being honest. Inuki's alright, but I mean, not somebody that I would particularly want to trust on the mound, and it's looking like he's gonna have to be on the mound. That's where the big questions are in the relieving category. But if I were to guess, I would say Revenants take the series, but I think that the Islanders take game 1.
All right,
Sorry.
so two of three for the Ghost Town Revenants. Slime, what are you thinking? Revenants, Islanders?
It's these type of choices I don't know. Sid ain't played yet, but he's very good. Like that, I'm not doubting. Sid is very good at what he does in this game. YG is the same, but we already seen him play. So I honestly think, make a split.
All right, so 2 of 3 for the Islanders.
Because even though sometimes they might not have the best pitching staff, their hitting can probably outweigh that.
All right, well, we will see if that happens in that series coming up. All right, our next series, the Rattlers and MC Scales taking on B. Farrell and the Philadelphia Bandits. The Rattlers at 0-3, the Philadelphia Bandits at 1-2. What are we thinking with this series here, folks?
Oh, this should also be... I hate saying this for every series, but this should also be a fun one. We got 2 Season 1 playoff teams who got off to a little bit of a rough start. Somebody's coming back from their rough start in this series. It's bound to happen, so that's always fun.
Yeah, it's kind of a get-back series.
Yeah, the Rattlers, they took a hard sweep in week 1 against SlimeFall himself. It was a little bit hard to watch, but he's probably going to be motivated to get his get back off of that. B. Farrell, on the other side, he lost the series to Xlong just a little bit ago. We saw Xlong's pitching really shine through and kind of threw off his hitting. He also said that he hasn't played in however long, but he was still hitting bombs. I mean, he was showing that. I mean, he's still hitting decently well, and he's gonna keep on getting better. I feel like he's gonna have at least a better performance than week 1, but it's tough whenever you're having 2 really good opponents that are looking for their get back. If you're looking at the rest, I don't think MC Scales has his rest updated. I can't remember the rest.
I do believe B. Farrell said he hasn't played in a year, so the way he played today, and it's only been a year break, that's scary.
Yeah.
That's scary good.
we look at B. Farrell's staff and his rest, Yakumasi is going to be out for game 1 as well as Shinogi and Abada. But other than that, he's going to have Ribukai ready for game 1, who he won his game 1 in his series today with is Ribukai. So it's going to be tough for MC Scales to win out on Ribukai. We look at MC Scales' staff. I don't know the rest, but I've talked about this before. His staff is not a particularly pretty staff, in my opinion. I mean, his star is Lancelot, and Lancelot is good, but not somebody that you really want to be your top pitcher. I think that we're going to see 2-1 B. Farrell. I think he's going to take game 1 and game 2. I think that he's going to lose out on game 3. I think he's going to win with Ribukai and Yakumasa.
Yeah, make that mine as well. MC Scales staff is it's an iffy staff to say the least. It's kind of iffy.
All right, so 2 of 3 for the Bandits is both of our panelists' kind of prediction right there. Some agreement for once this week. Very interesting.
Finally.
All right, let's go ahead and go to our last series. Compass probably won't want to make a prediction on this one, but you can talk a little bit about the series as well. We got the Space City Comets, that's Compass's team, facing off against the Sassy Squatches and Brando Scotty, who we have not seen play this week as of our recording time.
Oh wait, Compass, before you say anything, let me just make my prediction. Queen sweep the Squatches. That's the joke I'm going with.
Oh, I already knew it was coming.
So yeah, just put me up.
How many weeks are we going to go with?
All of them. All of them. It's going to be the joke for all of them.
Alright, you want to talk about the series, or should I talk about Brando Scotty a little bit first?
You got it. Because I think you played Brando Scotty more than me.
I think I have. I played him in season 2 Triple P before the affiliation. So, I mean, Brando Scotty, he's a good opponent. He's brand new. We haven't seen him in week 1, but if he's keeping the trend going, he should show out in week 1 with the rest of the new players. But I don't think he made playoffs in Triple P, but he was kind of around the middle. He's taken games off players like Ben Zen before, who made it all the way to Tokyo, so he's definitely got that skill. If you look at his pitching staff, it's a scary staff, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not looking forward to going up against it. You got players like Neojin, Graviton, Go, huge fastball pitchers. You got Tachikawa, who might not be the best pitcher on paper, but has that iron ball, which might help. You got Yakiman 1, who's got that little water ball thing. Amagi is not to be slept on. Definitely a really nice pitching staff. And even in the fielders, you got Kagemi and Sakagake in the outfield. That's going to be really tough to get around. Then you got Suzaki at second base. That's going to be hard to get hits off of. He's got a really strong team. I mean, you expect a strong team at the #1 pick, and it's going to be a really tough matchup for myself. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, he did Miwa. I didn't notice. Now I'm looking at his whole team. Yeah, that's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Tachikawa, she is kind of she may not be the best, but she is to me. She's the best.
I know that's your girl.
She'll come through when she needs to. She's done it before. Rain or shine, happy or sad. If she needs to throw a whole game, she will throw a whole game.
Yeah, it'll be a whole lot of fun. I'll say that. I'll be happy with the series win. But
All
who
right.
knows? Anything can happen.
All right, so Slime, what are you thinking? I know you said jokingly that the Squatches were going to sweep, but what are you thinking here?
This is a real tough choice now. Because, like I said, I'm not really sure. Because joke is
I will say, Slime. He don't got the best offense on paper. I'll make the argument for myself. It's gonna. I would think that it would be hard to get hits with some of these players.
I think you might take the series 2-1 because depending on when Miojin has to pitch against you, you might. I don't want to say you might struggle because you can hit pretty good off of Mio. I think you can. But he also had Yaki Man 1. Her pitch is kind of be messing with you. Amagi, he has some good pitches in his arsenal. He has a vertical slider that's already a monster of a pitch. With cutter, plus he has some good.
Oh, cutter. Oh, we ain't scared of no cutter around here.
Oh yeah, cutter. Right, he got that cutter and the cutter ability.
Oh,
he has both the cutter and the cutter ability.
The cutter with the cutter ability.
It's a level 3 cut. But he does have A heater and B runner. He might give you a run for your money, Compass. He might.
All right, we'll see. It's gonna be a fun series. I know that for sure. I always like going up against Brando Scotty.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2-1 you. Yeah, you take the series 2-1.
All right, that'll be a fun series to watch out for next week. So, guys, thank you so much for hanging out again, doing another roundtable discussion. A lot of fun stuff coming up this week in the USA eBaseball Power League. Stay tuned right here to this channel for all the action coming on up. Any final thoughts for the week?
It's gonna be a whole lot of fun. I mean, you saw the matchups. I mean, I couldn't stop saying it. Every matchup looks like it's gonna be a fun, competitive matchup, and this is one of the weeks you gotta look out for. I mean, if I were you, I would be looking at the Twitter. I would be joining up on the server. I would be looking out for these matchups. Seems like a whole lot of fun to me.
Alrighty. Slime, any final thoughts on the week?
You guys will see my game in the future. That's all.
Alrighty. Alright, well guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us, and for SlimeFall and Compass. I've been Rob Tomlinson, the commissioner of the USA eBaseball Power League, signing out. Ball go far. Have a great rest of your week, everybody.